So Herons' 6 categories of interventions can be super helpful in helping us to understand and articulate our own coaching style. Now, every coach, when they're training, will begin to develop their own style of coaching, and this framework can help us put some language around that helps us to both understand it for ourselves, but also helps us to articulate it in a way that the client's going to understand as well. Because what we want ideally is for the client and the coach to have had that explicit agreement up front, so that the client, when they sign up for services with us, gets exactly what they're expecting to get from us. So the 6 categories are broken into 2 broad buckets, the first of which is about being authoritative and the second is about being facilitative. On the authoritative side, this is about where we're going to be quite determined and directional in the approach of coaching that we take. And this breaks further down into 3 subcategories. The first is prescriptive. So you're explicitly directing the person towards the changes that they need to make. So do A, then do B, then do C. You're telling them what to do. You're giving them a prescriptive way to make the change. This can be positive in that it helps somebody be really clear about what's expected of them, but it can also have limitations in that they are getting the change driven by the coach, not coming from that intrinsic motivation all the time. So there are pros and cons to these, as there are with all of these different modes. The second is informative. So in this approach, we are going to share a lot of information. We're going to help to educate the person, and then we're going to allow them to make the changes that they want to make. So our focus is more on the educational piece and giving them everything that they need in order to feel fully resourced to go and make the change themselves. Pros of that, obviously, are that they get the information, they're educated better, so they might build an understanding about why they're doing what they're doing or what they need to change. But the cons are that sometimes if we're too informative, too educational, we're not actually focused enough on them taking action. What are they going to do with that information? There is an abundance of information available to us, and sometimes even that can be too much. So we need to be balancing that. And the third piece in this authoritative style is about being confronting. So this is where we might actively challenge the person's status quo by offering them something that is different to what they're currently experiencing. We still want the tone of this in coaching to be positive, constructive and uplifting, help the person feel that they are able to make those changes. But what we're doing is we're playing a role of going, okay, what you've done so far hasn't worked, and so here is an alternative. And that can make the person kind of wake up or feel a little bit surprised because it's not what they're expecting. So we need to make sure that we've contracted with the person about that challenge. The 3 on the facilitative side, these are all about being more empowering in our style. So these are about making sure that the coach is getting what they need for them to be able to make the changes for themselves in a kind of more empowered facilitative style. The first of these is being cathartic. So really what we're doing here is we're creating space that feels safe for the person to fully express and build their own understanding about what is going on. So we are allowing them to be expressing themselves and alleviating some of the pressure that they feel in order to feel ready to make changes in their lives. Pros of that is that it can be a very safe space, it can be very good for our emotional regulation, and it can help the person to process things more deeply than they would do on their own. The cons of this kind of style is that just creating space for people might not be enough to help them really see new perspective or get enough external input to help them see their challenge in a different way. The second of these is about being catalytic. So this is where we're going to act as kind of the rocket fuel or the accelerator for the person and the changes that they want to make. And in this space as a coach, we might be helping them reflect, do more discovery work, think deeper, kind of get into what's stopping you, the motivation of things. We might help them to make decisions, solve their problems and move forward in this kind of catalytic style. And finally, supportive, which is about creating a space where we're really validating the person's experience. They know that we're in their corner. We are definitely helping them, chivying them along, making sure that they know that they're doing a good job. We're really supporting them. This has some real pros, and I think there's a space for us all to do this a little bit with our coaches, regardless of what they're coming to us for, is that we always want to be a bit supportive. If we're only supportive, though, what can happen is that the person just gets that pat on the back, but they're not actually really making any progress. They're not really moving through it, moving forwards, which is, ideally what we're after in a coaching kind of relationship. So those are the 6 categories, the 6 interventions that we can use, the 6 different styles: authoritative and facilitative, and then broken down into those subcategories.